All right, so it's 6:05, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I know we have this scheduled for like 90 minutes, but it might go a little shorter. It might go a little longer, just kind of depending on the questions that we get today. And so I wanted to introduce myself to you all. I'm Terrell Johnson. I am the owner of Lot Create Space. And if you know me from Lot Create Space, then you definitely know a lot of the work that we've been doing to support entrepreneurs, small businesses, and creatives here in the Los Angeles area, as well as like all around the country. So I have a huge background in tech, been working in tech for about 20 years, been a creative pretty much all my life, went to school for broadcast engineering. And so very quickly started to use like online tools to be able to create content. And so whether it's video editing or whether it's us, doing some AV configuration or doing some art, I've kind of done it all or just dabbled in it, creating music, things like that. And so once I started figuring out about AI, I thought that it was a great tool that, we all can use. And we've all been using AI in different ways of our lives, whether we know it or not. But today's session is going to be specifically around how to use AI to create social media content. And whether it's online content, social media content, whether you're creating a blog, whether you need some imagery for your blog, or whether you want to create some AI avatars of yourself to do some testimonials and different type of videos, then we're going to cover all that in this session. So this session will be recorded. So if you miss anything, feel free to check out the recording. We'll also be loading this into our new online community that we're going to be starting up. And so all of you that are attending this session will be able to join and be some of our early members of our school community, in which we'll be having more in-depth details and conversations around AI and how you can leverage it. So this has been like a long journey for me. I've always wanted to do this. And so my wife just kind of inspired me to just go ahead and do it. Obviously with us wanting to help our community, we felt that this is the best way that we can do it by just, literally putting ourselves out there and just showing you all different tools that you can use. And then if you want to take it a little step further, again, I do have a new company that we started. It's called Byrdie.ai. And essentially, we are specializing in making sure that we can support our community. And I'll just share that window real quick and kind of walk you through, some of the things that we actually have to offer. And so our goal is to, allow you to be able to reclaim your time. We're going to do this by enabling, various type of automation processes and looking at your business plans and really using AI to kind of build and grow that. And so we've integrated with a lot of different platforms, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's 11 Labs, we're doing voice creation and voice modification and things like that. Whether it's Shopify for your e-commerce platforms, whether it's Gmail, if you want to send emails or if you want to draft emails automatically, all the way down to Airtable for our database management and Square for POS, HubSpot, YouTube, TikTok, all the social media platforms. And so we really integrate with a lot of these. And if you have any of these platforms, we can definitely help you get the most out of them. And one of the things that we really kind of focus on is our services. We realize that a lot of small businesses, especially here in LA, they are small businesses. You don't necessarily have a large team to be able to have 50 people working for you doing different things. And so we really want to focus on around the process to automate that, to really look at the data that you have to increase your business intelligence. And then as we kind of go through this training and as you all stick with us throughout the journey, joining different classes, you'll be able to learn a lot of these different tools. And so the first thing that I want to do, for everyone is, start with a quick introduction around ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT is, a game changer. I think it really introduced the majority of the world to AI. A lot of people didn't really realize what was going on. But again, like I said, you have AI in all the things that you do. If you ever heard of the algorithm, that's essentially AI. And so that's something that, we have to make sure that everyone kind of understands. So I'm going to make sure you all can hear me. I believe you can. And so the first thing that we're going to do, we're actually just going to dive straight into it. So if you don't have a Gmail account, I'm going to suggest that everyone, go to google.com real quick and create a Gmail account. Once you actually have your account, a lot of these applications that we're going to use are going to basically take advantage of this. So the thing that we're going to do, I'm going to drop a link. And again, follow along with me in the chat. Let's stay engaged there. We'll be able to grab all these links so people can click to it. Once you logged into ChatGPT, if you can put a 1 in the webinar chat, then I'll sort of know that you're right along with me, and we'll kind of get going. There we go. Thanks, Natalie. Thanks, Marisa, everyone. So, it's a free account, so you should be able to log in. If not, you can log in at a later time. I think it's very important that we just kind of follow along to what we're doing. I am going to kind of walk you through the paid version, but I do have a free version tutorial. I'm just going to use my version because it's a lot simpler. But for the most part, a lot of the things that we're going to go over today are going to be included within the free version. However, when you pay for it, it's a little bit quicker and you get access to a few different tools. But again, this training today, entry level, is going to be all based around free tools, but I'll also show you different things that we can do in other platforms. So if nobody has ever used ChatGPT, it'll be very surprising if you haven't. There's basically 2 different sections. There's going to be your main window, which is going to contain your chat and your conversation. And so with that, given that we're going to be talking specifically around AI and content creation, what we're going to do is sort of start with a few ideas. And there was a comment a little bit earlier around prompting. And so with prompting, it's going to be very important that you be as specific as possible, especially on your first go around. A lot of people, they're very vague around their comments. And we're going to basically start with going through some of these so that we can show you the power of how it can be integrated and enhanced and things like that. So I'm just looking at my clipboard. Sorry, I'm not looking off screen. But the first thing that we're going to do in the first 15 minutes of our time here, we're actually going to focus around understanding like how to prompt. And so if you have a brand, and we're going to use TikTok as a great example today, it's a great platform for getting out content. It has a lot of features that a lot of individuals use. So it has the e-commerce platform, it has the chat, you can do video, you can't necessarily do text, but I'm going to basically walk you through how I would create a brand. And some of this stuff I'm going to be actually doing live. I'm going to make sure that I can show you some of the things that we've been working on, but also just give you examples based on things that we do. So let's say I am working on a new hat brand. With ChatGPT, it's really cool because what you can do is you can actually take any type of file, you can click and drag, and you can just drop it. So I created this hat a while ago. I created it on a drop shipping app called Printful. And so if you don't know about drop shipping, ultimately you can create designs, you can load them in, and then essentially you can sell product that you don't purchase. A lot of times in the e-commerce platform, you have to have money to make money. But with drop shipping, you don't necessarily have to do that because you're just focusing on the design and the marketing. And so a lot of channels on TikTok, they actually do drop shipping. And so this hat, again, was created using a platform called Printful, in which I basically just took my logo and I slapped it on a hat. It's a little design around the back. You can't really see it, but for this example, we're just going to start here. So as soon as I upload the hat, I can essentially just say, describe this image. And what you're going to see very quickly is that it's going to tell me exactly about this hat. It's going to tell me that the hat is a black snapback, has a flat brim, is sitting on the front with an embroidered white origami style swan logo. So this is our Byrdie logo, if you haven't noticed. So, we got the little merch coming soon. So you'll be able to buy the merch. So again, some of these things that we're doing, you'll see it live over the next coming weeks because we'll be going to market with it. And like, why not? We're going to practice what we preach. We're going to make sure that the things that we're doing, we're living by it so that we can learn and we can also teach you and make a little coins like while we're at it. So I have this hat, and that's all that it really knows. And so the thing that's cool about ChatGPT is that you have a few more options here. You can add files like we mentioned. There's a few other like modes that you'll have to sort of pay for. But what's cool is that you have this diction. And what's good about this is that you can actually just speak, different type of text. But I'm not going to do that now because I'm on the Zoom. I want to make sure that we don't mess up our recording. So I want to say, I am creating a hat brand, and let's say I had, a go-to-market plan. And a go-to-market plan is basically how you're going to release this. So I'm creating a hat brand for Byrdie.ai. And I want you to create me some personas and a way to release these hats for Los Angeles based creatives. So you can get as granular as you want, because essentially what your persona is going to do is going to allow you to kind of create different things that you want. So if I'm creating a persona for the studio visionary, it's going to sort of tell me all these different factors. It's going to tell me a profile. It's going to tell me, essentially how old is the users are my customers going to be? Where do they work? Since we're here in LA, it really focused in on music production, photography, film, living downtown LA in the loft, different things like that. So it's also going to show me about the culture hacker. So it's really just giving our personas different names that we can use to ultimately kind of figure out who we want to advertise to and who do we want to create content for. And again, all I really put in was an image of a hat, and I told it who I was and who I wanted to make this hat for. It's going to go through all its databases and things like that to actually kind of understand what does it mean to be in LA. It's able to do different type of levels, and if I wanted to get more granular, I can say, can you focus on South Central and Inglewood? And so quickly what it's going to do is going to start kind of going through this. And so this is like a good way that you can start, because this is going to give you, especially with your brand, what you're working on, it's going to give you a great way to create some content around this. And so now that I sort of have my persona, this conversation that we're having here, this whole entire conversation is going to be remembered by ChatGPT. And so the way that ChatGPT is able to remember this is that it has memory that, although it says my memory is full, it's for a different reason. But ultimately, it's going to start to give you more and more content. So as you kind of go through this, let's say, okay, now I am looking for some TikTok videos. So if I wanted to, I can say, okay, now I want to take this hat. I know who I want to advertise to. I know who I want to sell to. I know who I want to target. But now I could say, give me 5 creative TikTok ideas for promoting streetwear clothing brand, or let's say a hat brand. We'll just change it in a fun and engaging way. And so typically when you're working with content, there's going to be different parts. There's going to be different scripts. There's going to be different creatives that you bring involved. If you ever have a creative director, this is sort of taking the place of that. And it's sort of taking the place of, you feeling like you don't know where to start. And so if I'm going to create a hat, and I want to create some TikTok video ideas, it's going to give me a concept, it's going to give me a hook, and it's going to tell me why it works. And so when I say pass the hat to the creator chain, and again, like I've never seen these before, but if I were to read them, start with one person in Inglewood putting on the hat, they throw it off the screen, cut to the next creator, catching it in South Central. It's pretty cool. So you can imagine someone tossing the hat and then someone catching the hat. And I'll show you a little bit later how we can make this come to life. And so it's going to give you a hook, and the hook's going to be important for your creative assets. And just knowing that this is important. But this may be a little too generic. And so if it is too generic, you can get a little bit more granular. So what you can do is you could say, hey, maybe can you create me, can you create some TikTok videos in Venice Beach. So if I wanted to focus around Venice Beach, let's say I'd like to go there. So as soon as you change one of the keywords in your search, in your query, it's going to actually start to give you more and more content. So now instead of it talking about South Central, it's talking about, do I want to ride a skateboard? People ride on the boardwalk all the time. And so this is a great way to come up with ideas. And so as you start to get your ideas, now you can go figure out, a videographer. And now you can go find someone who can come and help you generate these ideas and make them come true. Maybe you got a little bit of budget, but you want to focus your budget around the creation. So you want to pay the videographer. You don't want to necessarily pay a writer and a producer and things like that. And so it also gives you, different ideas of what you can do. So if I say, hey, I would like, I like number one, I like number one. Can you give me a shot list for a 30-second video? And the cool thing about TikTok is that it has a platform called CapCut. So you can actually work with CapCut to create a lot of these videos. It's a free editing software that you can use to edit. And so as you're thinking about ideas, and again, you can go granular, it can create a script, it can tell you, hey, here's what the first 3 seconds are supposed to look like. Here's your next section, so forth and so on, and give you a quick 30-second call to action. As you start to integrate with TikTok and you have your store really integrated, so if you're using like a Shopify or you're using like a WooCommerce or something like that, you can actually have your store own TikTok. So then when you run your ad, you can actually tag it and say, hey, here's my hat, click the buy, people can buy it. And basically, like I said earlier, you're not really even holding stock. You're essentially just, doing a drop ship to the users. And so this is great for creating a full-length video. But what if you wanted to just speak, you wanted to speak as the founder, as the creator, or if you have any brand, no matter what it is. You might want to say, hey, like I want to create a script, a quick 30, 40 minute, or not 40-minute script, that'd be very long, but a quick, 30 to 60-second script. So I'm gonna say, hey, give me a 30-second TikTok script in a casual, upbeat tone about the latest, let's say, Rams and Chargers preseason game. I started this when the Lakers were in season, so we have a little Laker reference, but I'll show you a few cool things about just searching for current news in a little bit. So what's kind of cool about this is that you can write a 30-second script for TikTok. Let's say, instead of a casual, let's say in a fun, sarcastic way. So what it's going to do is going to kind of go up and it's going to look at the Rams, it's going to search the web. And you can see here, it basically gave me a full script. So if I was an influencer or if I was trying to create, a channel talking about the Chargers and the Rams in the NFL football season, I have a full script here. Ladies and gents, grab your foam fingers and overpriced snacks because LA just got its annual preseason rivalry, the Rams versus the Chargers. And then you just go for it and go on. And this combined with, it's going to give you different type of shots that you can use in order to create this content. And so when you're thinking about old school storyboarding, some of you may have heard that. Now you can see kind of how that plays a part. This first introductory section is going to be for like 0 seconds. So then you have about 3 seconds and then so forth and so on. But let's say, this is something that you're like, hey, I don't want it to be a script like this. I just want to read it as like a paragraph. And I might want to change up a few things. So I can say, I can add this prompt here that I have. I can say, hey, make this more energetic, like an ESPN commentator, and end with a catchphrase. So not only are we going to say it's an ESPN commentator, we're going to say like a Stephen A. Smith, ESPN sports commentator, and end with the catchphrase. Let's see, they talk about the Chargers being little brother, supposedly, to the Rams when it comes to SoFi. To SoFi, and then let's say it's given old Lakers and Clippers in the crypto arena or Staples Center, Lakers and Clippers in the crypto. Actually, I just put Staples because, if you're from LA, it's going to always be Staples Center. So now what it's going to do is going to actually give me a whole script, and it's in Stephen A's voice. So if you can imagine me doing my best Stephen A impression, LA, let me tell you something right now. So it gets a little bit more lively. But sometimes you're reading a script and you don't want it to have all the question marks. So you can say, can you create this script in a paragraph format? And I'm going to show you something cool a little bit later. I'm going to check the chat. If there's any questions, feel free to add it there. So now we have this full script that I can talk to the camera and record. And so if I was going to create a video, I'll have the ability to be able to do that. And I'll kind of show you what the output can turn into, like once it's all done. I actually created a new sports commentator for Inglewood. Her name is Niche. So she'll be reporting live on all the games like this season. And I'm going to bring it up just so I can kind of show you like what it could look like. I'm going to go to my profile here, and I'll show you that in a second, but I'll show you some cool things as we kind of get to it. But before we get there, I want to make sure that we just all understand how the prompting works. And so one of the things that we can also do with prompting, and again, you can build different types of scripts. You can build different things that you can use, and it's free of charge. And again, this is take the copywriting, take things like that, and it just makes it a lot easier. If you already have copy, you can paste copy here to say, give me some better ideas around what I can do, make it better, spell check it, do different things like that. So not only can we use this to create prompts, we can use it to create prompts for images. And so when it comes to images, we're going to be using ChatGPT's internal system called Sora. So when it comes to Sora, Sora is a image generation platform, and it's also a video generation platform. And so what we're looking at right now is a lot of examples around content that has been created. Let's say you love, you're trying to create sports, so you're a track star, and you're like, oh, I like this. So you can basically click it, and what it's going to do is going to give you what the prompt is that they've used to create it. And then you can sort of go in and figure out different places that you can, interject different type of things. And so some of the things that you may want to enter in your prompt is, when it comes to us, it's like, you want to say an African-American girl or a Latina or a male or a tall male or a short male, different type of descriptions. And the more descriptive you can be, the better your prompt can be. But not only do you have to get the prompt on the first side, we have our handy dandy tool, which is ChatGPT, that can actually give us, a really great kind of introduction into creating a prompt. So if I'm going to say, I need a prompt for an image. So I'm just going to say, describe a photo of an African-American content creator in Los Angeles wearing urban fashion and our Byrdie hat at a night basketball court for an AI prompt. So once I put this in, it's going to actually give me the prompt that I want. It's going to be a little bit more descriptive. And then again, from here, you're just taking this prompt and you're fine tuning it. So someone mentioned a little bit earlier that, you want to get the prompt on the first time. Well, that's not always going to happen, because you're going to have to modify the prompt and see what it gives you. But if it sounds good to you, then, we can go ahead and try it. If I wanted something for MidJourney, and I didn't touch on MidJourney, but MidJourney is another platform that we can use. And so I'll show you sort of how that works and some of the images that I was able to create a little bit earlier today. With Sora, it does take a little bit longer to create images. But once you pay, if you want to pay for the $200 account, it'll be a lot quicker. I'm not personally trying to spend $200 a month on image creation software through ChatGPT. I would much rather use MidJourney, and I'll sort of show you how MidJourney works a little bit earlier, or a little bit later, sorry. But the thing that we're going to do next is we're going to, basically look at, what we can put within the image. And so this prompt that I had earlier, I was able to go into Sora, and I was actually able to create these images here. So this is a fully AI generated image. He's actually wearing the Byrdie hat, so we're getting a little bit ahead, but you can see that, I'm able to create images. I'm able to show, what I'm trying to get across. And as you get more granular around your prompting, then you're able to, really figure out like what the best image could look like. So if I were to look at this one, it's a little bit more like my actual logo, whereas like some of them, may just kind of like not be working correctly. And so the thing about the prompt that I wanted to add, and let's say like I want to make this guy smiling, and I want to make sure that there's a background that's a sunset background. Might be at Rogers Park, it might be somewhere around Inglewood, Baldwin with Paul Pierce. You never know. And so now we have a more granular kind of prompt. So once you have your prompt, you definitely want to be concise. So you want to make sure that you have as much details as possible within that. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you exactly how to create a prompt. And while we're doing that, we're going to go to the next section, and then we'll come back and actually see what it gives us. So in Sora, you have two ways of doing this. You can actually create an image by putting /imagine. It's going to do create image. And as you see at the bottom, it switched to our image prompt. So when it's regular, it's going to always do text. So imagine. And if you had a link that you wanted to reference, you can put a URL, or you could just put that prompt that we had. You can put it here in ChatGPT, and it'll create an image. So we'll just see what it gives us. And then as we're doing that, we'll sort of talk through any other kind of like use cases that we're going to be going to in a little bit. The thing about the image prompt is that, once you kind of prompt it within ChatGPT, you really won't be able to kind of do anything else until it's finished. So that's why I like to take my prompt and use the same prompt and put it over in Sora. So now that if I go to image, and let's say I wanted that to be a video, we basically have different video prompts. Again, these are prompts that have been created by others, but you can get a good idea of like what they're doing and what you can do. And so if I, can you search, let me see, I never really tried this, explore sports. So now I'm going to get more, ideas around sports, and it's going to let me know what can be done. So it's just doing generic sports. Let's say basketball at night, and just see what happens. And I think what it's doing, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's looking through the prompts, and it's identifying all these different ways of understanding like what the prompt could be. So if you like something, then you can go ahead and do it. I am going to generate a video. I'm going to switch this over to video. And if you focus your attention towards the bottom, you have different ways of generating content. If you want video, you can do that. You want images, you can do that. You can switch the aspect ratio. 3:2 is a little bit wider. 1:1 is going to be your square. And 2:3 is going to be your vertical content for your social media content on your reels and your stories and things like that. We're going to focus around one image, but instead of doing that, I'm going to switch it over to the video model. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually go back to my Sora here, and I'm going to download the image that I created. So ignore a little bit of that. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to save this image. And we're going to save it in our demo folder. And then I'm going to go back to another window. And again, these are just the same windows, but I just want to be able to upload this image. And what we're going to do is just add the image there. And we are going to use this as inspiration. And then we're going to basically say, just see what it gives us. We're just going to take the same prompt with the same image, and it's going to add it to the queue. So now that the image is generating here, we have a little bit more flexibility around, continuing to use ChatGPT. So with this one, now we have an actual basketball player who's like on the court. He has a camera in his hand. See, did we put a camera? I know I had a camera in my later prompt, but didn't think it would add it here. But essentially, I think since he's a TikToker, it's kind of using its logic to say, what would a TikToker basketball player look like? He's gonna have his camera, definitely gonna have it. And so this is a pretty cool way that you can just create images. And if you don't want to use these images per se, you can actually use these for inspiration. So again, if you're working with a creative director or a photographer, now you can go out and now you can basically say, okay, here's all my images that I have been using. And so I'm going to switch over to a quick platform called MidJourney. What I like about MidJourney is that it actually gives you a little bit more. And actually, let me switch my window. I think I have it in a different browser. And I'll show you some of the things that I've created in the past. But ultimately, this is a great tool, again, for using, here we go. We'll share it here. So what I like about MidJourney is that I can take that same prompt, and then we can basically see, how it works. So I know that I want to be able to add my hat. So if I were to click the hat that we were just sort of looking at a little bit earlier, I can actually take the snapback, add it as a reference point, and let's just see what's going to happen. And again, what I like about MidJourney is that it's a lot quicker than Sora. So MidJourney is going to give you a lot of different prompts. In fact, I've been working with my wife to help her create some content. And ultimately, we created different type of content based around her candles and things that we can do. And so now, you can create different content sort of based around the candles with people, just sitting, in yoga pose with her exact candles so that we can add these to our e-commerce store. And so again, with MidJourney, it's a lot quicker. And you can see here, now I have much better prompts. It even put the logo on a shirt. And so if I wanted to use this in social media for whatever reason, then I can basically say, hey, this is great. I like this. But what's great about MidJourney as well is that MidJourney actually allows you to create some loops. So if I wanted to say, create me a low motion loop, and let's just see what it does. I haven't really posted nothing. I would imagine that it's going to bounce the basketball. So as we kind of get through our prompting here, you're quickly able to see that there's different ways of prompting ChatGPT. Let's wait for this video and then we'll go to the next section. I'm going to look in the questions and just see if there's anything, if anyone has any questions for me, and then we'll continue with our next example. So right now, there's no questions, but when you're thinking about how do you prompt and how do you image generate, you have all these features available to you just through ChatGPT by itself. So as you kind of create these images for yourself and for your blog, you can be very specific as well. You could say, hey, I want the image to be like this size, or I want it to be like larger, I want it to be smaller, things like that. So this will basically be able to get you through creating content and creating different type of prompts that you can use to actually get through your, to get some content created. So let's, sorry about that, wrong window. Move this over. There we go. So I gotta add a few windows open. This is should be the right one. Cool. So we're back in here. We're back in ChatGPT. So the next thing that we're going to be learning, and obviously, a lot of people may know that you can do this, but it's really about creating your blog content. And so if I was creating a blog, there's different ways that you can do this. You can choose to write it, or you can choose to just speak into ChatGPT using this and kind of just describe what you want. Tell it about yourself, tell it what you care about. If I'm a Laker fan, I want to tell it that I'm a Laker fan. I want to tell it specifically what I like about the Lakers. When did I grow up? Who's my favorite teams? Who's my favorite players? What do I think about the NBA and things like that. So as you kind of tell ChatGPT more about yourself, then you're able to get a more tailored blog approach. And so if I was running a sports blog, and let's say I wanted to know about the Lakers of what happened this week, I can essentially just ask ChatGPT to write a blog for me. And I'm going to be very specific. And I'm going to basically say, and I'll read this out to you, write a 600-word blog post about the Los Angeles Lakers performance this week. They obviously didn't play, so we're going to see how ChatGPT handles this. But I also added a few other things, such as look at news from the last 7 days, game results, player news, any drama. I'm going to put that. And then I want you to start with a catchy headline and introduction. So essentially, a lot of people, they're starting to realize that having your own website is starting to get back hot. ChatGPT is looking at the web. And so now blogs have the potential to be scraped by all these LLM. And you can imagine for every single person that's using an LLM to look for information, your blog, your website can start to get indexed into that to be a part of this. And so if I did want to create a blog, again, you can start with the prompt, be very specific. If you had examples of previous blogs that you've written, you can use those as writing references, and it's going to look in the same style. I look at ChatGPT as a copywriter that I'm on the phone with that I don't know who they are. If you ever use Fiverr, you ever use any of these websites, chances are that they're using ChatGPT to do work for you. And so if I am writing a blog, it's going to give me, all this information. Ultimately, it's going to say, it's going to look through all these websites. So this is from yesterday, from 3 days ago, it's from today. And it's going to basically give me information. So it's going to tell me that, Jeremy Hofstadter is our new strength and conditioning coach, which is crazy because I thought Luca had a weight problem. So how are we hiring his old strength and conditioning coach? So with all that said, it's still going to be able to give me references. And so if I just wanted to curate content around, sports and the Lakers and things like that, then now I have a full blog. You're going to always want to come in and proofread this. You can continue to prompt it so that it gives you something super specific, and it can put it directly into the format. And so this blog could be written. I can just copy and paste this, and I can put this onto my WordPress or my Squarespace or whatever blogging platform that I have, put it on my Facebook, different things like that. So when it comes to blog writing, this is definitely going to be important. And so from here, I can say, let's say I'm going to write a blog and I want to have a full campaign kind of around this post. Now I can say, give me a short, version for Twitter or for X. Put Twitter/X that can drive people to the blog. Right? So the first thing it's going to do, it's going to actually give me a little short breakdown, right? So now I got a little breakdown. I can put this on Twitter. Give me a viral TikTok script. Again, in Stephen A's voice. That an AI avatar can read. And again, we kind of talked about, I just broke my own lesson that I just learned a little bit earlier. And it kind of goes into prompting, and you got to understand exactly how you're doing it. So in a paragraph format, I'm going to use clear, easy to speak English. And the reason why I added this, because sometimes you feel that the AI is a little robotic, right? So you're not necessarily able to really kind of focus around this. And with the AI, you can basically kind of give it, you can make it more articulate. You can make it less articulate. You can make it, use a LA slang. So I can say, use a West Coast, Cali slang to create a viral script in paragraph format using a Stephen A. Smith tone for TikTok. So once we have this, and again, we'll start having some fun in a little bit, but now I have a full script. And what's kind of cool about this is that, now that I have my script, I have the TikTok script that I can read. I have my actual blog where I can send people to. And 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen is that you're going to be running your own ads on your own blog. So if you can get people interested in a lot of this content, then you'll be able to actually, have a full circle and build your brand. Let's say I actually wanted an image for this blog. Now, again, we can kind of go back to Sora and we can actually create images. So this image right here, although it looks like AD, it's not on the team anymore. It looks like Westbrook's not on the team. This was actually generated using a prompt. And the prompt that I did was, a dynamic action shot, the Los Angeles Lakers game, that crypto.com arena, the players jumping for the ball with a realistic style. So you can create different type of prompts here. I created, a young fan wearing a Laker hat. And if I wanted to put this on the blog, then I can go ahead and do that. And what's kind of cool about that is that, you no longer have to search for images on the web. You don't have to worry about getting copyrighted. You basically just have all the image that you actually need. And again, it's all free, or if you want to pay for it, you can have a better image. I'll share my MidJourney. Let me see. Did I make anything in the MidJourney? Let me check before we get back there. Nope. So when it comes to creating content, you guys are starting to see how you can do that. Again, I created a few more images and things like that. And so the next thing that I want to kind of show is how we can actually put different people within our clothes. So if I did have an image of someone and I wanted to put them in the clothes, you basically just add the image and then you tell ChatGPT to go ahead and do that. What's kind of cool about Sora as well, which is something that you may notice, is that you can actually click on it. And so when you click on it, now you're going to get an option to remix it. So if you want to remix it, you can actually say remix. And what it's going to do is you can tell it specifically around any image. So if I wanted to say, okay, now I don't want this to be, sunset or a basketball court, I want to say, and I'm just using this little tool that they have. And I want to say, make a football field behind him and the Hollywood sign. So once you kind of, add it to the queue, again, it's going to start to query and it's going to essentially start to remix this image. When it comes to MidJourney has a lot more features around remixing. But again, you have to pay for that. And so if the image was bad, if you didn't really like it, then you can go ahead and do some other things. So when it comes to our products, I'm gonna go back to ChatGPT. Sorry for bouncing around. But the cool thing about ChatGPT is that now I can actually I'm gonna start a new conversation. So to do that, you just do a new chat. And then we're gonna focus around using another image, which is our Kendo image. And I'll show you that in a second, to create some content. So like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was able to create various types of content. And the way that I was able to do this was just using simple prompts. You can say, okay, give me ideas on how to market a candle. And again, we want to start with this because it's going to give us better ideas of what we can do to create various types of content. So if we had this image here and we wanted to be very specific around like what do we want to do, again, it's going to give us information around this candle. If we wanted to kind of focus on, doing a different type of prompt where we're going to be talking about, imagining like a young African American woman, then we can go ahead and do that as well. I'm going to switch my screen over to our Sora, because once we come here, we actually have different type of ways that we can actually do this. So if I wanted to create an image of just someone wearing a snapback hat, let's say, young African American man wearing a Laker jersey and a snapback cap. We showed this a little bit earlier, but now I can actually do that here. And what it's going to do is going to give me different type of images that we can actually use. And it's going to give me some better prompts. And so from there, now I have 4 images that we can sort of work from. And so if I like this, then I can use it. But let's say, we wanted to get a little bit more granular with this. We kind of talked about, continuing to prompt it, continuing to make it, even more strong. So if I click it here, I can just click and continue. I can also say, I want it to be a man standing on a basketball court. So I can say now on a basketball court in Venice Beach with palm trees, skaters in the back, and what a bright sun. And again, once you kind of create this, then you have the flexibility to be able to, sort of create, any type of content that you want, based on your prompt. And again, this does cost, so they have different levels of accounts. And now you can basically see that this is being way more specific to like what we talked about. We have the Laker jersey, we got our palm trees, we got our skateboard, and it was able to like look at different pictures at Venice Beach and kind of, depict what Venice Beach really looks like. And so what I love about this is that, yeah, you're able to create cool, images. I like the joke with some people that, MidJourney and all these AI tools, they basically make swap meet looking clothing all the time, which I think is like very funny. But at the same time, you can be a lot more specific. And so if you want to focus on like, posing, and let's say like this guy is like not smiling or he's not like really, doing what I want. Now I can say, okay, like let's make him smile. But then let's make it highly detailed, depth of field. So you just add all these different areas on it. And then with MidJourney, you're actually able to, be very, very descriptive around if you like it or not. So if I like it, I like it. If I want to rerun it, I can rerun it. And then with Sora, you're going to basically get the same type of flexibility. It's just with Sora, it's going to take a little bit longer. So I'm just going to run this as an image. And again, we're going to run it here. And then with this video, instead of me doing it as a video, I'm going to actually do it, or I'm sorry, instead of doing it as another image, I'm going to do it as a loop. And what's going to happen is going to put it back into the queue, and then it's going to start to loop this through. And so as we sort of go through this, you really start to see that you can remix a lot of these things. And the fact is that, if you have your model, so let's say we just had, I'm just going to look for like a random image of someone, and we're going to try a few things out like live. So the first thing I'm going to do is like create, a picture of a Black woman. And I've actually already done that. So let's grab this Afro-Latina. We're going to create this. But we want to do a medium wide shot. Showing wearing a hat. So not only can you actually add the prompt, you can actually add inspiration. So if I wanted to create her wearing my product, I can do this. Actually, I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it over here. And we're just going to drag it, and it's going to give it a reference. So with this reference point here, we want to make sure that it's a little bit higher. And let's see what it comes out with. Because when you're making product, you can actually, kind of create different type of content that you can use to prompt your content generation. And again, we got my guy right here playing basketball. You can see him, lifting up. We got the guys skating in the back. So it's a full image that if you were to put this, just on ChatGPT or put it on Instagram, then someone may think it cool. So now when we talk about, having a model, then you essentially have someone wearing your product now. And so if I wanted to sell this product, I have my hat, and now I have a motto. If I want to, act like, hey, this model is my influencer, come check it out, tag it in, have people purchase it over, like purchase it on TikTok or Instagram, then you can go ahead and do that. And again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you can create different type of content. So in some of the examples here with the candle, I essentially just took a candle that we have here and started to place it in different areas. And so even with this video here, we have the candle, she's stretching, yoga in the morning, fresh candle, to make you feel good and things like that. So what's kind of great about a lot of this is that, again, you can create content. So not only can you create the copy that we showed a little bit earlier, you can actually show, different type of, ways that you can do this. If I wanted to create, even more detailed around this, I can actually, just continue and, have a different shirt or have a different sweater or have a different product and things like that. So one of the other things that we've been creating quite recently, and let me check the chat, make sure that I'm not missing any questions. So we have a question. Yeah, so he asked, the line details are a little inaccurate. So again, if we wanted to make it even more accurate, some of the things we can do is, we can go to Google, let's say, and find, well, let's start. Well, let's say we wanted to find a Laker jersey on a flat. And we can basically feed it this information. So you can find an image, and let's say you were just going to download a Luka Doncic. We can download this image, and then we can feed that into the system here as a reference, whether here in Sora, and then you can actually make the lines a little bit better. You can see down here that some of these are a lot better, a lot more accurate. And again, it's pulling these directly, from the internet, and it's doing its best interpretation of what a Laker jersey is. It's not going to completely copy it. It's just going to look at it, and almost like an artist who can repaint the Lakers, these AI images processing is able to do that. So I'm going to stop for a quick second and just switch over. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Any feedback, we can go ahead and do that. The next thing that we're going to do, we're going to actually show you guys how to create AI avatars. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go over to a new platform called HeyGen.com. I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to reshare my my screen here, and we actually have. All right. So next, we're going to hop over to HeyGen. I think HeyGen is one of those platforms that is really great because if you all have seen these AI avatars, this is going to be important for you to be able to create virtual avatars. So again, all these platforms, they're going to be able to use your Google login, create a free account. To do some of the more of the advanced stuff, you're going to obviously need an additional account. But I'm going to log in. I'm going to kind of walk you through what we have here. And so before we do that, I'm going to show you guys a video that I created a little bit earlier. Let's see, make sure the sound is sharing. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna share, make sure the sound is sharing. Yep, sharing sound. And we are going to get back to my TikTok. So this is sort of what we're going to create.
Yo, what's good, Inglewood? It's your girl Niche with B Inglewood, and let me tell you, this football season, oh, it's about to be a movie out here in the wood. I'm already feeling the energy every time I drive past SoFi. The vibe is different when you know we got ballin' squads in the city. Let's talk about these Rams real quick. Matthew Stafford is looking healthy.
All right, so I'm going to stop that real quick. So ultimately, this is a full AI generated video. Yeah, I had to do a little bit of editing, but if you're selling any product and you don't want to be the face of it, you can actually use AI UGC content to actually create these virtual avatars. And so I put the link to HeyGen in the chat. They do have a free version, and I'm going to show you guys like a few things that I've been able to do. As you can see here, here's your girl Niche. And so what's kind of cool about it is, again,
Yo, what's good, Inglewood? It's your girl Niche with B Inglewood, and let me tell you, this football season, oh, it's about to be a movie out here in the wood.
So when you look at it this way, it doesn't look as impressive, right? But, you know, again, when I kind of go back to TikTok and I add a little music under it.
Cooper Cup's ready to cook these secondaries, and
I add some captions.
You know Aaron Donald is still a whole problem on that D-line, and Sean McVay,
where she's not the focus point, you barely even know. And 9 times out of 10, you're watching a video, you're probably watching a virtual avatar anyway. So the way that HeyGen works, and it's pretty cool, we're going to create a video. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to figure out, you know, whether we want it portrait or landscape. And what's kind of great about HeyGen is that, you know, they do have a lot of different, you know, templates that you're able to use. And so actually, I'm going to go back and just go directly to our avatars. And let's look there first. So there's 2 types of avatars that you can have. If you notice this guy right here is me. So I created my own virtual avatar. But before we get back there, I'm going to focus on the free avatars that they have. And so these free avatars are really great because what it's going to do, it's going to be a real person. They basically have, you know, added themselves to this library. It's like a photo library, but now we have avatar libraries. And you can find, you know, an avatar that fits your lifestyle. So if I'm going to do like real estate, let's say I'm going to do real estate. Let's see if anybody comes up. Right. So now I have people who are selling real estate. You can look and see, you know, if they resonate with you. You can, you know, find different lifestyle people, you know, people doing different things out there. So let's say I wanted to, you know, use this one with Abigail sitting on the couch. What's cool about it is that, you know, you're going to be able to have a video, and let's say you want to use this. But before we do that, let's actually go back to ChatGPT, because we've already created our script, right? We have a Stephen A. Smith type script. So, hey, this is a viral video. So let's imagine that, you know, this is our talent and we're hitting up our talent. We're telling, well, we're not going to have her. Let's try to find somebody who fits what we're looking for. So if I were to go to all, I can actually go through. Let's see my guy. Where is it at with the red background? Let's see if I can find him. Actually, let's do, thought I had it saved, but he may be gone. But let's use this. Who's my guy here? He looked like he likes some sports. Probably is in a, you know, a league or something like that. Fantasy league for sure. Looks like me and my homies. So the cool thing about it is that, you know, you have a few options here. So once I actually add the video, I can actually have this virtual avatar just start to read it. It'll take a little while to process. So instead of us doing this really long video, we're going to basically just take a quick section. So I'll just delete this part of it, and then we'll kind of focus. So there's different voices that you can choose from. So if I wanted, if I didn't like the voice that I had there, then I can actually look at HeyGen and find different voices. And so,
hey there, here's how I sounds. Hope you like.
Hey there, here's how I sound. Hope you like it.
Hey there, here's how I sound.
Hey there.
Hey there,
Here's how I sound.
all these different sounds,
Hope you
right?
like it.
So let's say we're just gonna keep Jace's voice.
Hey there, here's how I sound.
So
Hope you like it.
So we'll keep that voice, and we won't change anything about it. But what's kind of cool is that, you know, I can
This
play
ain't
it.
just football. This that LA energy, like Lakers versus Clippers back at Staples. Same house, different rent. One squad the landlord, the other just paying utilities. And out here on the west,
Right. So you can sort of hear them. It was a little low. Hopefully you're able to hear that. But what's kind of cool about it is that, you know, now I can preview it. So once you preview it,
this ain't just football.
so
This that LA energy.
it's not going to let
like
you
Lakers
fully
versus Clippers.
do it. It doesn't want you to get it for free. You have to actually export it. But I've done videos in the past, so I'm going to look at some of my other projects that I've done. I actually just did one about crypto. Let's see if I can find those guys. Or maybe it was on my free account. But let's say we're going to do, let's see, let's do the SoFi one. So the fact is, like, I've already created this.
What's good, Inglewood? It's your girl, Chasey Smith with B.
But
Inglewood.
it's not I don't really like that one. Some of them are a lot better than the other ones. And essentially what's going to kind of happen is that, you know, let me actually just go ahead and process this one so we can see them in action. So we'll call this SoFi. So I'll just give it a second, and then I'll go back to showing you guys what I've created in the past. So essentially, I was able to create my own avatar. And the way I'm able to do this is I was able to, hey, Terrell Jones. So I was actually able to record myself on my camera, and then I was able to actually upload my video here to HeyGen. And so from here, I was actually able to create my own, you know, avatar, and I was able to actually upload my voice, because they're going to give you a chance to create your own voice. So when you do your voice cloning, essentially what you're going to do is, you know, you're just going to upload an audio file of you talking. So the longer you talk, the better it's going to be. You want to make sure that you're slow, that you're speaking clearly, and then now you're able to have your own voice. And so if I just needed to do a voiceover for like a video that I was working on, I can actually now come and create a new project, specifically like with my voice. And so if I wanted to add my voice to our guy here, then now I can kind of go in, well, I don't want to do it here, but if I were to create a new, I'll create a new project or a new video. We'll do portrait. We'll select our avatar. We'll replace this one. And let's say we replace it with myself, which is great. We'll do that look. And then we'll select like my voice. So now I have my own voice. So if I wanted to, you know, now put a different script in, let's see, let's take a different part of like what we worked on. Right, we'll just take a really, really short version of this, and then we will add that to HeyGen. So once you do this, again, I can generate it. I'll call it Terrell. And it's essentially going to go through, and it's going to use my voice that I've already created, and then it's going to start to read this off. And so if I wanted to, you know, use this to try to sell a product, I can go ahead and do it. So now that our SoFi video is finished processing, now we can sort of see like what we got.
This ain't just football. This that LA energy, like Lakers versus Clippers back at Staples. Same house, different rent. One squad the landlord, the other just paying utilities. And out here on the west, bragging rights ain't handed out, homie. You gotta earn them. And right now, Rams still run the block.
Right.
Still,
So this is
ain't
the
just
first one,
football.
and then
This
you can
LA.
actually go a little bit deeper. If I wanted to add captions to this, so now I can turn on the captions. And what it's going to do, it's going to start to give me different type of things that I can do. But instead of creating the captions here, there's also different platforms such as CapCut, or you can use Opus AI to be able to create this. And so you can create different type of backgrounds, and this is great for like presentations. So if I was creating a presentation and I didn't necessarily want to be the one to actually have to do the entire presentation, I can actually use a template. So they have different type of templates that you can like use, and you can just have different scenes. So let's say I wanted to do like a business pitch. Well, now I have these different slides that I can like create my content in with a virtual avatar, save it as a video, and allow people to be able to actually use it. And so what I think is great about this is that, you know, again, now you're able to create like more and more content of yourself, making sure that it's like clear.
LA, let me put y'all up on game real quick. Rams and Chargers just went head to head at SoFi, and bruh, that wasn't no preseason game. That was straight up family business.
Right. So that was me just, you know, doing it. And again, the clearer your video is, the clearer your audio is, you know, the easier it's going to be to actually create your virtual AI content. And so once you have this, the content here, let's say, you know, I did like this and I was ready to, you know, to download it. I was able to, you know, upload this to my, you know, TikTok, and it's like, I got real easy content that can be easily created all day long, you know, starting from, you know, understanding, okay, like what is my script going to be? What is my, what are the clothes I'm going to wear? You know, different type of things like that. And there is ways of creating your own virtual avatar wearing different type of clothes. You can hit me up, you know, directly to figure out like how to do that, because it does require, you know, a little bit longer tutorial. But today I definitely wanted to show you like how to do that, because I feel that the game is changing. And so with a little bit of editing, the free CapCut tools, you know, you're able to create a voice, you're able to tweak the voice, you know, you're able to switch out words or like type it in a way that, you know, makes the AI be able to automatically speak it. You know, so that's something that I think is like really great. One of the things that I also wanted to kind of like leave off, and I want to make sure that I got all of our topics covered. Let's see. Yeah, if there's any questions, feel free to add them in the comments. Yeah, so we cloned ourselves, and so now we have a full process. So the next thing that I'm going to show you, and again, let's kind of go back to see some of the things that we created a little bit earlier, just to like kind of recap. You know, we're able to take that prompt, and remember we remixed it a little bit earlier. We were able to take this, we were actually able to turn this into a video. And so now we have our hat, and now it's a video. Put a little bit of music behind that, put a tag, it has our sun glare, really, really cool, just, you know, showing some cool ways of going from a static image to this. So even with this image, we remixed it. We say, hey, now we want to put on a football field with the Hollywood sign behind it, with the sun setting. So you can get a lot more granular around that. We have, let's see. Yeah, so that was the last one that we created. And then if we were to go over to, you know, our content here, you know, you're able to, you know, have a script that either you can read or you can give to your virtual avatar. You're able to, you know, use the content scripting that we have here to, you know, add your product onto people. And you can even like put your content within the blog. And so it's all about, you know, being a creator and like driving people back to the thing that you have, that you're selling, that you're, you know, potentially monetizing on, you know, working on your content, working on your scripts. If you wanted to create, you know, 5, you know, X stories about the Lakers, summer league, and preseason, you know, trades that you will post, you know, each day, you know, it's going to start to give you a lot of these things. And if you keep everything within the context, it's going to sort of remember the things that we actually like wanted to do. So when you talk about Bron score, you know, Bronny scoring, we talk about Connect, like not, you know, doing as well as everyone thought he was going to be doing. Everyone's trying to trade for Reeves. You know, we have, you know, AD and Bron always like putting on these random stories and things like that. And then you actually have like the G League and like what we're going to do to make our team like that much better. So if you have different type of businesses, you know, you can also do this. And again, everything's going to be tailored to what it is that you're doing. So if you're a marketer or you're a consultant or you have, you know, your own small business, then you're able to actually kind of come out and be able to have, you know, this assistant here for you. And then if you're going to have the paid version is really great because you can do a few more things. You can actually create a project And let's say we're going to do this, let me call it basketball. You can have a project that kind of contains all of the information around the things that you're doing. So from here, you can add additional files, additional images, additional context. And so it'll have a lot more information about what it is that you're trying to do, as well as like a link to, yeah, so I'll be sending out this link to basically to everyone who attended. But this has been great, being able to show you some of the things I've been working on. Sorry about the last demo, but hopefully everyone got a lot of value out of this. This is just the start. We're just starting, so I appreciate you all coming along with me as we kick this off. We'll be going like in depth into each application that we showed today, and over the next like couple of months, just stick around with us, and we'll be able to set up time. Before we go, I actually want to drop a link in the description, and essentially what it is it's a link to set up free 15-minute time with me. I think my computer is getting a little bogged down. Let me close some of these windows, especially with Google and some of the things that I'm running. And you'll essentially be able to set up some free time with me. I'm going to put 2 links. If you sort of know like what it is that you want to do, then you can set up some time with me. We are charging like $100 for like an hour of like private consultation with you or your team. And so from there, you know, we're able to kind of work with you individually on any of the things that we set up your prompts, get your whole flow going, and ultimately kind of get you using the ChatGPT and using all the things that we were able to show. So I'm going to put the link in the bio. So I'll put the first link is going to be our free link to set up some time. Since all of you attended the class, you'll actually get access to it. And if you would like to take a step further, then you can actually click here where we can clone the work that we've done and be able to really kind of grow the things that we've done. So thank you all for joining. That's going to conclude our session here today. But thanks for everyone for joining in, and hope you have a great week. And thanks for spending the past hour and a half with me. See ya.